Hello, happy Wednesday. So here we go again. It's another live session, another Wednesday. It's quite echoey in this room. Could you just do me a favor? I know I say this every time, so sorry if you're bored of it. Would you just do me a favor and just, Low Monk. Oh, hey, how are you? That's good to see you. Right, so at least I know that you can definitely hear me then with my friend Low Monk. And then we have Stefano Popescu. Have I got that right? I hope I pronounced your name correctly. All right, so as always, we're going to have to wait a little bit for all of those slow coaches to arrive. So whilst we do that, it would be great if you could let me know where you are coming in from and tell me the temperature. It's not as cold today here in London as it was on Monday. Oh my God, I was so cold on Monday. But I do like to know where you're coming from and what the temperature is, because I'm British and I'm obsessed with weather. I think most British people are. So let me know, where are you from? Now, Low Monk, I know exactly where Low Monk is from because Low Monk's a good friend of mine. So hola, that'll be a bit of a clue. Stefano, Montreal, Canada. Oh, very good. 14 degrees. That's pretty warm, right? For Montreal. That's tropical for Montreal, isn't it? Not that I'm making fun. I'm honestly not making fun. Denise, is that Denise? Yeah, that'd be Denise because the E is on the end. Seattle, nice. Gotta love Seattle. Who else do we have? Okay, we're slowly arriving. So I hope everybody is well whilst other people arrive. I'll give you a bit. Arizona, Jasmine. Oh, Jasmine wins. Jasmine wins hands down. 28 degrees in Arizona. You definitely win. It's only 18 degrees in Mexico. Interesting. So Jasmine, you are by far in the lead for the warmest place. And I think Montreal is probably, Seo's back. Yeah, it's cold. This time of year is really harsh in Dublin. The sun sets really early in Dublin once you get past daylight savings. So I reckon, Seo, it's pretty dark outside where you are now as well. We talked to my mother-in-law. By the way, everybody is Irish and lives in Dublin. Seo's just joined us and he's in Dublin. And we can be talking to my mother-in-law in Dublin, which is not that far away from where I am in London, like an hour's flight. And she's in pitch darkness and I've still got daylight outside. It's all very strange. But yeah, okay. So welcome, Dublin. Sláinte. Hope you're having a good day. All right, so we've got a few more people rocking in. So one thing I wanted to check with you all whilst other people are appearing, it's totally off topic. So forgive me, you know I like to do a little bit of off topic stuff. Has anybody ever had these things before? Right, can you see this? CBD gummies. Right, so chewy marijuana, I think. I haven't been sleeping very well recently. Very stressful time trying to buy a house. It's quite hellish buying a house. So I haven't been sleeping well. So my husband bought these things for me. And I've never smoked marijuana in my entire life. I lie. I smoked one puff once and it didn't work out well for me. So I'm a little bit hesitant about chewing down on these bad boys. Has anyone ever used them? If you have, do let me know. All right, I think I'm losing viewers. Oh, Low Monk's tried them. That doesn't surprise me, Low Monk. If you have, I'd love to know. You don't have to tell me now, but I would love to know. All right, I think I'm losing viewers talking about marijuana gummies. So I'm going to move on. Let me do my introduction and we can move on from there. So I am Gigi. I am the Amazon interview whiz. I was a senior leader at Amazon for a number of years. And most usefully for you all, I was an interview bar raiser. The difference in terms of it, the value add I offer you, my USB P. It's definitely not a USB. That's another thing completely. My USP as a bar raiser is when you're a bar raiser, you get to interview across all sorts of different roles, across tech and non-tech, and across different countries. So I've interviewed 20, different job families, many different countries. If you're a recruiter, generally, you'll only be interviewing people within your own skill set area. If you are, or at least where you're recruiting into. If you are a normal Amazonian, you will interview probably once a week, you'll be doing interviews for your team or other teams, but you'll only interview around your own skill set. So if you're in finance, you'll probably only interview people who are applying for finance roles. You might interview a marketer, you might interview a product manager, depending on what team you support. But essentially, you only interview in your own area. When you're a bar raiser, you can interview anywhere, which gives bar raisers like me a perspective on interviewing in Amazon that nobody else in the organization will get. When I was a bar raiser, I was able to, I guess, identify the people who had specialist interview training by an expert, and they were way better than those people that didn't. I decided to look into it and found out it was pretty expensive. So I thought that I could create something that was far more scalable and far more affordable for the masses, where my type of expertise would be available to everyone, rather than people having to pay many, many hundreds or even thousands. Yes, people will charge you thousands of dollars for the type of information that I'm going to give to you. So I have my YouTube channel. You all found me here, obviously. I post on LinkedIn once or twice a day, and I have what's called the Amazon, you can't see it, the Amazon Interview Whiz Academy, which is my affordable, paid for digital courses that will basically tell you everything you need to know in order to land a role at Amazon. So these free sessions, this is how they work if, unlike SEO, you aren't a regular. I do love the people that keep coming back. They're so kind. You ask questions in the little panel down here on the right. I will do my best to answer them for you. I should be able to answer pretty much anything other than very specific technical questions for very, very specific roles. There are over 300, I'm sure there must be 400 different job families in Amazon. No one person can be an expert in all of them. I am an expert in interview strategy, process, blah, 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 blah. But I won't be able to tell you the specifics on individual technical roles. But I will tell you if I feel that you have a question that I can't answer. Okay, so first thing then, why don't we just get going? Please do stay until the end. I have an amazing freebie that I will give you at the end. No one else gives a freebie like this one, I promise you. I pretty much know everybody else that does what I do, and no one will give you the quality freebie that I'm going to give you at the end of this session. So please do hang around for that. Right, let's get going. Why don't you start asking your questions, and we will see how we get on. I'll say hello to people as they start arriving as well. I'm not seeing very many people telling me that they've been eating weed gummies, so I'm a bit suspicious about those. I better make sure I don't plan to do anything. Okay. Hey, Low Monk. So you're reading a book that I know. I know which book you're talking about. Hang on. Sorry, that's my dog. I frightened her by moving. I think Low Monk is talking about this. Be quiet. I think I'm going to have to kick her out. She's going to start barking. Hang on a second. Oh, where'd you go? Sorry, everybody. The last thing you want is a German Shepherd barking across YouTube. Right. So this book, I think, is the book that Low Monk is referring to. Everybody, if you are applying for Amazon, read this book. It's really good. It tells you about all the amazing mechanisms and processes and why things are the way they are at Amazon. It's really well written. It's written like documents in Amazon are written. So it's incredibly concise and exact. So if you haven't yet, I'm not getting any commission for this, by the way. I'm just really enjoying reading it myself. Go get that. So Low Monk's reading it, and they talk about the reference checks conducted as the last step. Is it still a thing on high level openings as L8 or higher? Yes, I believe that you will always get reference checks, regardless of how senior you are in an organization. There are some basic legal requirements that go on that mean you'll have to get some kind of reference checks, even if it's not kind of employee-based reference checks. But I've never, ever come across, and admittedly, I've only interviewed up to L8. I've never been on VP or SVP loops, unsurprisingly. But I cannot imagine any world where anybody would decide to employ someone and not make sure that not made sure that the narrative that they've heard chimes with their previous employers. Now, if they happen to have known that person for many years beforehand, then obviously that's an extra data point that's helpful. But I would imagine that wherever you go, however senior you are, you should expect to get reference checks. Thanks for that question, Low Monk. No one's ever asked that. That's interesting. I enjoyed that. Okay, let's just have a look. Yeah, Emilio. Hello. Hello, Emilio. Hola. So you've been a yellow badge at Amazon for 2 years. Okay. So a yellow badge is a contractor for anybody that doesn't know. You applied for a blue badge position. So a blue badge is a permanent employee for anybody who doesn't know. I think I still have my blue badge here somewhere. Not supposed to, but I think I still have it. Encouraged by your manager, that's lovely. Who's the hiring manager? Interesting. What changes in your case should I use Amazon experience as examples? Emilio, definitely. I mean, they've only got 2 years, so that's not kind of an entire career history. Depends on how senior you are, of course. But yes, definitely try and pick from your Amazon experiences when you talk about the behavioral questions and the leadership principles, because obviously the more evidence that you can provide that you can raise the bar on the leadership principles in the context of working at Amazon is going to be really, really compelling evidence for your hiring panel and for your bar raiser. Because you're a contractor, you will get a bar raiser on your panel. So yes, use your Amazon experiences. Try not to duplicate if you possibly can. Of course, possibly can being the operative section of that sentence. And if you need to, pull some stuff in from prior to Amazon to be able to kind of pack it out to have a good range of examples. But fingers crossed for you. Good luck. Conversion loops are always interesting. I've done a few conversion loops, and the dynamic of the panel is really quite important. So good luck. Moving on then. Oh, 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 I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Samuel, welcome back. I remember you were here the other day and you got an offer after 3 attempts. You got 2 offers. That's amazing, Samuel. Program manager, AWS Infra Demand Planner. Ooh, and an in-stock manager, Amazon Fresh. So I used to work at Amazon Fresh. I started actually with Amazon Go when I worked there, and then they were kind of subsumed into the Amazon Fresh team. So I know a whole bunch of in-stock managers at Amazon Fresh. Don't know that many program managers at AWS Infra Demand Planning, but congratulations, Samuel. I know we spoke to you the other day and you had some questions. So clap, 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 clap. Everybody, please congratulate Samuel. And I think the important thing to note here, everybody else, is Samuel failed 3 times, and still managed to get in. And not only managed to get in, but got 2 offers. So honestly, most people do not get hired in Amazon first time round. I believe the proportion was much higher when I entered Amazon 6 years ago. Anyway, I lose track. But now I have it on kind of good authority that the majority of candidates that are getting hired these days tend to be repeat applicants. So it's incredible that Samuel's learned so much over that journey of 3 failed loops and has now obviously managed to crack the nut and got himself 2 offers. So that's amazing, Samuel. Congratulations. Oh, I love those. Love those. Bite Bitten. Right. I'm glad you're here, Bite Bitten. I was talking about you this morning with Vivek. We will be recording Vivek's interview tomorrow. So hopefully I can get it turned around if there's not too much editing and have it on YouTube for you the day after tomorrow. Okay, so fingers crossed that will all happen. And obviously I was only saying nice things about you to Vivek. Okay. Okay, quickly then, Samuel, which of those 2 roles would I recommend you choose? I couldn't possibly make a recommendation. I've never worked in those particular roles. As I say, I've worked with a lot of in-stock managers, but it depends on you. What are you looking for in your role? I would suggest to you, write down a list of all of the things that you really, really want in your role and in your career. Write down what the job description is for the in-stock manager and the conversations that you've had with that team through that interview process. Same for the other role, and see which ones kind of float your boat the most and matches the most. But I could not give you advice on that. I'm not close enough to you, your experience, your background, your strengths, your weaknesses, and the individual roles and the individual teams. Not advice I can offer you on at this 10,000 feet distance, I'm afraid, Samuel. Okay. All right, hang on a second. Just reading something from somebody. I think that's a two-part question. Is it Serie 2014? If it isn't, I haven't quite understood it. So if you wouldn't mind, Serie 2014, re-looking at that question and asking me it in a different way, because I've read it and I don't quite get it. Okay. All right. Yeah. Stefano, so what's the best course of action if one completes the loop and is not selected, but told that results were good and that they would find you another position? Nothing solid now. All right. So I suspect they didn't say they would find you another position, because that's a rather firm commitment that they can't possibly deliver on. I suspect the language was more along the lines of they would see if they could find you an alternative. Your best course of action is to take ownership of the situation. So your recruiter who was working with you on the previous role may well go out there and see if they can find other roles from other recruiters that are similar or may kind of be the exact equivalent. But their level of commitment to that is not going to be massively high, because they need to fill the role that you just got rejected for and many other roles they'll have on their plate. So they might do it, but they're not going to be massively committed to it. You, on the other hand, it's your career. So you need to be massively committed to it. So what I would suggest you do, Stefano, is check out the Amazon jobs portal, see if there are any other roles that grab your fancy. Contact your recruiter from the previous role who rejected you and ask them if they can refer you to those hiring managers or those recruiters. If you don't get a response from them, I would just submit your application anyway, and the recruiter on the other end will pick up your application, look at your profile in the internal system called Hire, and they will see the notes from the previous interview where apparently you did really well, but you weren't quite right for that role. And that will help them be encouraged to consider your application. But that's what I suggest for anybody who doesn't pass, but is not being put on a cooling down period. Take ownership of it, go look for other roles yourself and apply for those other roles. Denise, will I be reviewing job descriptions? Not today, Denise, Monday. I said I would do it on Monday. So tomorrow I will be doing an ad for it to promote it, and I'll get that up on LinkedIn tomorrow. And then I'll do the JD description reviews on Monday. So if anybody's not following, on last Monday, I committed to doing another session, which I have done before, and you can find a video of on my YouTube channel, where live people can give me their job description IDs. I will look at them on the website, on Amazon's job website, and literally deconstruct and show you how to deconstruct a job description live. It's a very terrifying experience. Can't say I enjoyed it the last time, but people seem to find it quite useful. So I promised I would do one this Monday coming. Would it be appropriate to tell the bar raiser that you have another offer and you need to hear back ASAP? No, Justia, that is not a conversation I would have with the bar raiser. Have that conversation with the recruiter. The bar raiser is not involved in that part of the process. They're not involved in the scheduling of the debrief, etc. If a candidate said that to me, I would simply say to them, that's fine. Go tell the recruiter. They're the one that organizes the debriefs, etc. So don't waste your time. Speak to the recruiter. It's not going to make any difference if the bar raiser is not going to suddenly go, oh, Justia's got another offer. He must be fantastic. Therefore, I'm going to analyze his data differently to how I would if I didn't know he had another offer. It's not going to make them more, it's not going to make you any more attractive to a bar raiser if you drop the nugget that somebody else wants to hire you. If that's your purpose of doing it, don't waste your time. If your purpose of doing it is you genuinely want to hear back sooner rather than later, then the bar raiser is not the person to tell. The recruiter is the person to tell, or the RC, recruiting coordinator. Okay, hope that helps. Oh, we've got another one. Yes. Hey, Victor, welcome back. You got an offer and you've got the BIE. I remember talking about the BIE role with you the other day. Oh, congratulations in Sao Paulo. Awesome. Yay. Congratulations, Victor. Well done. Delighted for you. 2 today so far. This is exciting. I can't wait to keep scrolling and see if we come across any more. Right, so momentarily, whilst people are writing out more questions, just going to say, please I need you to like the stream, please. The YouTube algorithm takes positive signals like comments and likes and processes them in the algorithm. The algorithm then sees that the content there is good content and they promote it. I really need you to tell YouTube that this is good content, because it is. It's thousands of dollars worth of free information that you wouldn't necessarily get free elsewhere. So I really, really need you to help me. I put time into this for you because I really want to help, but in return, I very much appreciate if you could help me back. So whilst people are writing additional questions, after 3, please, everybody go and click the thumbs up button, okay? I always stick up the wrong number of fingers here, so this time I'm going to get it right. So 3, you wouldn't have thought that was that hard, but actually it seems to be for me. 3, 2, 1, go. Like the stream, like the stream, like the stream, like the stream, like the stream. Okay, I can't see how many of you have actually liked it, but I'm going to assume you all have taken pity upon my begging and my very terrible dance and song and click the like button. So for those of you that have, thank you very much. For those of you that haven't, why? Why have you not? And those of you on replay, please, you do it as well. Okay, moving on then. Let's pick up. I hate the beggy bit. That's embarrassing, but it's got to be done. Okay, moving on. What else do we have? Okay, John, you've made it past your first interview for a senior product manager tech. Cool. Good luck with the next one. Okay, yeah, okay. So Serie 2014, you heard somewhere that you can make a reverse interview to the teams to make the best decision. Okay, let's break that apart. So there are some roles where they're effectively recruiting under a pooling rec, and they look for people who are bar raising, and they don't necessarily have a role specifically assigned for that person, but they're looking for someone to fill a job family. This is particularly in the case of some technical roles, software development engineers, solutions designers, those types of roles. And they'll interview someone. They will be considered bar raising, and then effectively that person gets to go and have some dates with various people from various teams who will try and sell their teams into that individual, and that individual can then choose which of those teams they want to go and take their role up with. But it's not for every single role. It really is only on a very select few roles, all technical as far as I understand. So if you're applying in finance, you will never get that opportunity. So let's just to cover that one off there. Reverse interviewing is something that everybody can, however, do. So if you have applied for a role and you've been given an offer, I highly recommend that everybody takes the opportunity before you accept the offer to see if you can speak to maybe 1 or 2 additional members of the team, maybe to the hiring manager again, just to make sure that every single question that you have has been answered and covered off. Because at that point, they love you, they want you, your hiring manager is fantasizing about how brilliantly you're going to add value to their team. And therefore, if there's anything that you want to know, they will do their very best to accommodate it. So I always recommend to people, because it's hard to think to ask all the right questions at an interview. Maybe you haven't had time to ask all the questions that you'd want to ask. So do use an opportunity once you have an offer, if you want to ask for a further conversation with a hiring manager or another member of the team, so that you have all of the data that you need to make the right decision for you. Okay, so that covers reverse interviewing. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, John. So you got a call back on your loop with the postponed a few weeks because the hiring manager didn't have approval yet. Wondering if this seems correct. It's very unusual that somebody would be able to run the interview process without a requisition number. Because if you don't have a requisition number, you can't raise an actual job, a conceptual job in hire. And if you can't raise a job in hire, you can't advertise because you can't process anyone. So it seems unusual to me that a hiring manager would take you to the point of loop having still not got a requisition number against the post. Now, what can happen is they could have originally had a requisition number, and then something has changed in the background. We're headed towards OP1 is done. So it may be that there's some kind of jiggying. OP1, operational planning, cycle 1. If you read this book, you'll learn what that means. But it's a budgeting process, and in that budgeting process, they will decide what headcount they've got. So there could be some changes going on in the background. That means original recs that were raised might have been put on hold because of some budgeting issues, or maybe a decision has been made to reduce the number of recs that a particular team has open, and this hiring manager is going to have some conversations with various people around them to see which of the actual roles is going to survive the cull of the recs. So it's not impossible, but just the specificity of them not yet having had approval ever seems a bit weird to me. Right. Yeah, so John, you want to know if there's anything you can keep momentum, just keep messaging the recruiter. Once a week, I would suggest is probably enough. Just to say, I'm still here, I'm still interested, and just leave it at that. That's all you can do. It's kind of out of your hands at this point. Okay. Ooh. Stefano, is it easy to get transferred from Amazon to AWS? There's no such thing as a transfer per se in Amazon. If you wanted to move from a non-AWS business, because it's not Amazon and AWS, it's like AWS and one business and another business and another business all underneath the Amazon brand. If you wanted to move to AWS, you'd have to go through an interview process again. All candidates, even internal candidates, have to be interviewed. So it's not a transfer. You would simply be applying for a role in AWS. How easy it is entirely dependent on how similar the role you're doing in the non-AWS business is to the role in AWS. There are sometimes some very similar roles, and often there are roles that are completely different. So I cannot give you a measure of ease on that one, I'm afraid. All right, so Sari, I think I follow you now, so I'm going to play this back to you. So you were asked a question about a time you tried to make a policy, but the company at the time wasn't interested in following the policy. My question is, can it be seen as bad backbone? Well, it's not about bad backbone per se. It's about how did you deal with the situation. So it is definitely a have backbone, disagree, and commit question. So you wanted to do something and somebody says you cannot do it. I'm massively simplifying this. So the part of the backbone is how well did you present your case to do something? What data did you bring to it? How well did you manage your emotions? How did you deal with the individuals who you were having those conversations with? Those types of questions. How did you demonstrate to the interviewer when you articulated that story that you had backbone when you had the initial pushback? And then the important part of answering backbone, disagree, and commit is when you didn't manage to convince anybody to implement your new policy, that you accepted it, you embraced it, and you tried to make the very, very best of the situation as it was. So that's backbone, disagree, commit. The reality is that in every single business and every single person and every single team you ever work in, sometimes people will not do what you want them to do, right? It's just the reality. And the reality is it happens everywhere, many places, many levels of seniority, that regardless of what you say and how well you present your argument, it's not going to happen. So an example where you demonstrate that it did not happen is not bad backbone. Bad backbone is not standing up for what you believe to be right in the appropriate way. That's bad backbone. You can still do everything right and not get it implemented as you would want it to be implemented. That would not be bad backbone. Not doing everything right, that would be bad backbone. Hope that makes sense. Too many B's in that. Okay. Moving on then. Okay, yeah. Hey, Winnie. Oh, Winnie. That's so cute. I'm a big dog person. So I'm not a big person. I'm a person who's big into dogs, just so that we're clear. That's a very, very cute profile picture. So you have a referral from an old manager who's now an Amazonian. Does that help you get through the screening process at all? Yes, Winnie, what it will do is it will get your resume / CV, depending on what country you're in, how you articulate that word. It will get that document straight to the hiring manager and bypass the recruiter's filter. Once it's at the hiring manager, there's no additional advantage to be had. They can completely, within their own right, decide not to interview you because your resume isn't what they're looking for. So a referral is always great. A referral from an old manager is really great because what you want your old manager to do, Winnie, is to not only submit your resume on your behalf, you need them to submit it on your behalf in order to get it in the system properly as a referral. Not only have them submit your resume on your behalf, but also email the current hiring manager and tell that hiring manager with good quality data and detail why they think that you are a good fit for that job, and probably some nice information about what their experience of working with you in the past was. That will make a big difference to that hiring manager's consideration. That extra data set on top of a resume can be really powerful. I, as a hiring manager, have looked at resumes before and thought, I'm not sure about this one. But the referrer, the Amazon referrer, has given me a narrative that's given me a different perspective on the resume. That makes a big difference. So I would ask them to do that for you. Okay, Shin. Hey, Shin, how's it going? Welcome back. Big jump. Okay. Denise, what's the appropriate compensation range to negotiate for a non-tech program manager L5 with 10 years of experience and a bachelor's degree? What country are you in? What state are you in? I cannot answer that question, Denise. It varies completely because Amazon is a global company. So, Denise, go check out payscale.com or levels.fyi. Put the data in as to what your location is and the job title that you're applying for, and it will give you a nice set of data around what the market range is for that role. Okay. Gonna keep moving on. Okay. You got your panel date the next week. Oh, okay. And you're worried about quality of the difference phone and laptop, right? So I use my phone these days for most of my video content. They're way better than, this is my webcam, but generally the phones are really, really good quality. So no, I would say that you're absolutely fine to use your phone. The only thing I would say, Shin, is sometimes chime is not great on the other end. God forbid I should say derogatory things about an Amazon platform, but chime is not the best. What I always say to my candidates is make sure that you give your interviewer your phone number so that if chime crashes, the first thing they do is ring your phone and you're not wasting time backwards and forwards trying to get onto chime. So if you're going to use your phone for the video, that's fine. But do make sure you say to your interviewer, please call my phone if we have a problem technically. So, and then you'll just need to be able to pull your phone off whichever stand or tool it is that you're using for the video conferencing. Just be careful with angle. If you're going to use your phone, like make sure you've got it. There you go. Make sure you've got it put up somewhere. The last thing anybody wants is to see up your nostrils or for you to be holding the phone where maybe your hand might be shaking. So just make sure that you've got a good stand for it and you'll be absolutely fine. Okay, moving on then. Okay, there are some people that are asking me questions very specifically about specific roles. So I'm afraid I can't get into the specifics of individual roles because I don't know the deep detail of every single job family across Amazon off the top of my head. This is interesting, Andrew. I'm taking a risk and putting this up there because I don't quite have an answer for it yet. So I'm going to read it and process at the same time. So, hey, Andrew, welcome. I think this might be your first time. I'm not sure I recognize your name. So welcome if this is your first time. What can you do if you feel biased from an interviewer based on your previous work history together? The way you were versus how I am now. You were interviewed by this person before. Okay, Andrew. So I think you're saying to me, let me just play this back to you, that you have worked with this individual before in a life outside of Amazon. You've come and interviewed at Amazon before and been interviewed by this person. And I'm going to assume you didn't get the job. And now you're being interviewed by them again, and you're concerned about their bias. Okay, so there's nothing that you can do about that. Right? You cannot request that they not be on your panel. You would have to have very, very strong cause for that, like some kind of grievance issue at your previous employer to be able to request that, I would suggest. So really, there's not a lot you can do about it. What you really need to be making sure, if you genuinely think this person is going to be biased against you, and I'll talk about how Amazon will manage that, but if you genuinely think this person is going to be biased against you, make sure that you share very, very clear and specific data. So talk about very clearly your deliverables and back it up with data, percentage movements, absolute movements. What did you deliver for your business? Because that data will get recorded and will be discussed at the debrief. So effectively, any subjectivity or bias from that person's perspective is somewhat negated by just having some very clear facts written down. So that's what you can do. The job of the bar raiser is to be attuned to any of those things. So you're all thinking that the job of a bar raiser is to effectively assess you, which in part it is. But the other part of a bar raiser's job is to understand and interpret what is going on with the interviewers when they're at debrief. So my job as a bar raiser was to facilitate that meeting, which meant I would need to be paying close attention to my interviewers, close attention to what my interviews are saying, picking up any cues around bias or knowledge gaps. I'd be paying attention to the dynamic between the interviewers to see if I can pick up any relationship dynamics that may or may not influence the outcome. Your bar raiser's job, and that's what we're trained for, your bar raiser's job is to find and spot those issues if they exist. So if you are concerned that there might be bias, you're going to have a little bit of faith in me and a little bit of faith in the Amazon process that your bar raiser is trained to spot those issues. All you can do, provide clear facts with data to support it, and then your bar raiser is on the end of that debrief process to make sure that anything like bias is identified and wheedled out. So I hope that gives you some level of reassurance. Okay. Ooh, right. I'm looking for some other questions now. Okay, still people asking me for general tips. I cannot give you general tips. I have 3 hours worth of content on my YouTube channel that provides very detailed tips. So please go check those out. Right. Oh, okay. Right. So I think I've made my way to the bottom now of all of the questions. So I'm just going to scroll back up. I had to jump some because some were not going to be questions that I could sensibly answer. So I'm just going to scroll back down and see if there's anything that I missed that I can pick up on. Okay. No, nothing I think I've missed. Okay. So any more questions coming in? Nope, doesn't look like it. Woo, you're all very shy today. We've got a good number of you here and we're all very shy. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Hey, Jasmine, welcome. So you've got your first loop in, you had your first loop interview today and one tomorrow with 1 day's notice. Is it routine to be notified last minute and not have the full schedule? No. Funny you should say that, Jasmine. I was talking to some of my academy members earlier on today, and one of them was mentioning that they were due to have their loop tomorrow and Friday, and were yet to hear from the recruiter the details of their loop and the Chime logins. I do know that the recruitment teams are really stretched thin at the moment. Up until now, it's really been affecting outcome turnaround times. I've been very much noticing that people are not having the SLA of 2 and 5 met. Now it feels like it's creeping its way up the funnel in terms of the process, because as you've just described here, and as one of my academy members described to me earlier, actually getting information on your loop itself, seems to be only loops at this stage, is also not quite delivering against the customer experience that I would expect from Amazon. So no, it is definitely not routine. And I mean, hopefully you're well prepared, and that as soon as you knew you were going through to loop, you got yourself prepared and you're going in knowing what you're doing. I would suggest to anybody, if you get a very last minute notice that they would like to take you to loop and you don't feel prepared, don't feel obliged to take it. You don't only get one chance, but you do only get one chance at that role. So don't be rushed into it if the process at the Amazon end is broken or not optimal, and you're being forced to compensate for that. It should not be your burden to carry to compensate for process failures on Amazon. So if you're not ready, then you should feel free to say, I'm sorry, it's too late notice. I'm not ready. Can we delay it or arrange it for another time? Okie dokie. Hope that was helpful. Okay, for the failure question, all right, so if someone asks you, tell me about a time where you failed, can they ask you for another example if the first one doesn't convince them? They can ask you for another example anytime for the failure question or any other question. So yeah, I guess they can. Okay, moving on then. Yeah, hello, ME. How are you doing? So you're approached and invited to interview for a position. You didn't apply for it. How common is this? I see where the hiring manager found me on LinkedIn. Looks very interesting. You were surprised. It's very, very common. So Amazon finds its candidates in two ways. Either they wait for the candidates to contact them, or they have a whole army of people who are called sourcers, and they use tools like LinkedIn and other platforms to go and try and find candidates that match the profile of the job description as required by the hiring manager. So it is very, very common. Please don't ask me what the success rate of inbound applications versus outbound sources is in comparison, because I've never looked at that data. Don't know if you're going to ask me, but just in case, don't. But yeah, it's a very common way of hiring people in Amazon. Oh, number 3, Ilie. Hello, I recognize your name. Yes, I recognize the name. Congratulations. You've been watching my videos and you've gotten an HR internship. That's awesome. Amazon is such a fantastic place to start a career. I really, really wish that I had started my career at Amazon rather than kind of towards the end, because I'm so old. But it's an amazing place to start a career. You can literally go anywhere in Amazon, any sector, any skill set, any country, anything. It's amazing. So congratulations for getting an internship there. And I hope that it is a great start and will give you a good sense of what it's like to work in an organization like Amazon, and maybe ultimately lead to a longer term career at Amazon. Good luck. Moving on then, just doing a time check as well. Okay, we've got 15 minutes left. We're good. We're good. If you ask to start in January, will it affect your offer? One of the roles is in Seattle, but you're hoping to work out of New York. Okay. So no, it won't affect your offer, like the time, the date that you start won't affect your offer. They don't tend to have kind of certain budget amounts in certain periods of time. And if you miss that period of time, then you miss out on the budget. There is a salary, there is a range for any given role in any given country, in any given state, if you're in a country with many states, and the offer will be based on that range and how strong your interview was, what your current compensation is, or if you don't share that, many countries don't share that, what your expectations are, etc. So when you happen to start your role will have no effect whatsoever on the compensation. Should you talk to the recruiter or the hiring manager about where you're located? Definitely the hiring manager. If you have a direct line to the hiring manager, having received an offer, speak to them. It's got nothing to do with the recruiter, how you operate day to day in the role. The only person that really can do that is the hiring manager. So go straight to the hiring manager. Okay. Oh my God. Just reading this, they're definitely stretched thin. You've gotten 2 a.m. midnight emails from recruiters. So it might be because your recruiter is in a different time zone. That is a possibility, but that sucks. If they're in your time zone and they are sending you emails at midnight and 2 a.m., that's harsh. So we'll be compassionate about those recruiters. They are working so hard. I know recruiters get a really bad press, and there's a lot of things that candidates go through that are not great and ideal experiences, but recruiting is such a hard job. And in Amazon, it's the hardest place I've ever seen recruiters have to work in my career. Sometimes I know you get the sharp end of the stick, but trust me, they're on the other end of that sharp stick, even though you can't see it. Okay. Yeah. Hi, Mom 98. How you doing? I'm Mom 2000. Oh, no, 2000? No, 2007. Gee, my kids are not that old. All right. So you're having a loop, require relocation, which you're okay with. You'd like your kids to finish the school year. Understandable. In my experience, have I seen them allowing delay in relocation and commute? Yeah, for sure. For sure. So you may be able to just work remotely for the period of time until your kids have finished their school year. Amazon is being really, really flexible about that now. So just have a chat with your recruiter. I would say to you, I wouldn't raise it before the loop. Actually, just wait, see if they want to give you an offer. And once they give you an offer, they're very emotionally attached to you. At the point they're giving you an offer, they can see you in the role. Once that's happened and you have an offer in hand, then speak to the hiring manager about maybe working remotely and having flexibility. Okay, I hope that helps. Okay, what else do we have here? Time check. Yeah, we're doing okay. Sorry, I have to look down because my camera is sticking over the top of my clock. Yeah, okay. Hey, Denise, so you're working through my masterclasses. So you're an Academy member. Very, very good choice. Have I covered it in the... I don't specifically actually mention this in my masterclasses, so I will answer that for you now. Is there a marked difference between preparing for a phone screen with a hiring manager versus a loop, or should you be just as prepared? There is no difference whatsoever. The interview process, the types of questions you're going to be asked, the standard at which they're supposed to hold you to is exactly the same. So I suggest you prepare just as thoroughly for the early rounds as you do or would for the loop. Another reason I say that is if you don't prepare just as thoroughly, sorry, I just have to get rid of that. That's my daughter calling me. If you don't prepare just as thoroughly, then you may never make it to loop. So you have to. I know people are cautious about over investing time because they know the odds are against them when it comes to those higher funnel interviews. But if you don't throw in everything you can possibly throw in, you materially reduce your probability of being able to get to loop. So put it all out there, people. Put the 20 to 30 hours worth of preparation in, or you might regret it. Okay, Denise, well, good luck with your interview. Okay, drawing with gears, nice image. So you've received an invitation for a virtual interview, yeah, but they didn't provide you with a time, saying they were still finalizing details. Does this mean someone else is ahead of me? Not necessarily. It means that they're just finalizing the details. Somebody may be ahead of you, but certainly finalizing the details of your call, of your virtual interview, has no relationship whatsoever with whether somebody's ahead of you or not. So don't worry about that. Just get the details finalized and get to your virtual interview. Oh, number 4 for the day. Matter, hello, congratulations. So you got an offer. What are the next steps you can expect after accepting the offer? So they will be doing the reference checks. So I highly suggest, when you've given them the people that you want to be your references, I always get tripped up on that. The people you want to give them as your references, speak to those people, right? Speak to them, brief them on the role. And if you have any thoughts about things you want to make sure that if they're asked, they cover off. So, for example, if you know that earned trust was really important in your interview process, you have the offer now, they're not going to rescind it. But it might be worth briefing the person who's going to be your reference to talk about things in your past career with them that speak to your ability to earn trust. So that will be the first thing, is they will do any of those reference checks. Then you will get issued your contract and the offer letter. So you just need to, it's all done digitally online. So you just need to make sure that you fill in all of that stuff, you don't miss anything out. And then in theory, it should all be smooth sailing. You'll talk to your recruiter usually about your start date. Then, like with some of these other people earlier on, if there are any things that you need to work through and have questions, then you can talk to the hiring manager. Okay, I hope that's useful. Hey, Jasmine. So will the writing exercise be mentioned during the loop? And if so, what will be asked about the exercise? So maybe not. So in my experiences, sometimes someone will talk to you about your writing sample in a loop, and they may not. There's no prerequisite that they talk to you about it. The hiring manager and the bar raiser are obliged to read the writing sample. Nobody else has to, but the bar raiser and the hiring manager are required to read it. But they can choose to read it, not talk to you about it, and then talk about it among themselves in the actual debrief. If someone does talk to you about it, then they can ask you anything they like about the written exercise. They're not going to talk to you about the structure of the document. They will talk to you about the content and the example that you've shared, but they could ask you anything. There's no kind of guidelines or particular questions that are documented in Amazon against the writing sample. I hope that helps. Oh, Victor, you are absolutely welcome. And thank you for coming and telling me. It means a lot that I can see how my efforts, and I put a lot of effort into this. I mean, even one YouTube video takes me a good 7 hours by the time I film it and mess it up many times. Edit it, edit the audio, get it uploaded on YouTube, write all of the descriptions, add it to my support notes. Oh, I offer support notes as well. If you didn't know that, you can click on any of my videos and you can download support notes for my YouTube channel. So that's there for you as well. So I put a lot into it, and I'm very grateful, seriously, Victor, when people come back and tell me that they've got value from it and got jobs. So gratitude to you for coming back and telling me. Okay, so we've got a few minutes left. So let me pick a couple more, and then I will give you the best freebie that anyone is giving you as far as Amazon interviews are concerned. And I will stand behind that claim. Okay. Right. So Hiron. So in Starry, how should you think about improvement aspects? Should you also include certain LPs? So for anybody that doesn't know, I have created an alternative model for Star where we have an I on the end, and there's a video of it on my YouTube channel, which is called The Hidden Amazon Leadership Principle That No One Else Will Tell You About, I think. basically, you put improvement on the end. So you explain situation, task, action, result, and then you say improvement. So you reflect on what you did, how you did it, and what, if you were to do it again, you would do differently in order to get better outcomes. And in an ideal world, you'll also then tell me as the interviewer when you actually took that learning that you took from that experience and applied it and had even better outcomes. That's like the best use of starry. So you can think of any aspect you like. It depends completely, Hiron, on the story itself. So you can talk about improvements in processes. You can talk about improvements in behaviors and insisting on the higher standards. You can talk about improvements in the product. It can cover anything. It doesn't really matter. And no, it doesn't have to incorporate the leadership principle. The whole point of it is that you are already demonstrating a leadership principle, which is an old leadership principle that isn't there anymore, hence the one no one will tell you about, which is called vocally self-critical, which was a leadership principle for many, many years and has now been subsumed into earn trust in order to make way for learn and be curious about 7 years ago. It's still deep in the DNA of Amazon. And the reason why I say that you should talk about improvement is it is a demonstration of a leadership principle in unto itself. So you don't need to reference the leadership principle because you're already demonstrating the leadership principle. What you're trying to do, having demonstrated the leadership principle, is tell them exactly what you would change so that you have been self-reflective and they know that you are a self-learner. Hiring managers love self-learners because, quite frankly, it means they can abdicate responsibility for having to give you that feedback, constructive feedback, because they know that you're going to give it to yourself and then act upon it. Who wouldn't want someone who can give their own constructive feedback and then improve themselves without you having to be involved? That's why hiring managers love it. Again, talking to one of my Academy members today on one of our sessions, he landed a job very recently after, I think this was his third attempt, and he joined my academy and he got his job. Woohoo! And what he definitely said was that he felt that the I on the end of the star made a massive difference to his likelihood of success, because every single interviewer who he spoke to and shared his improvement with commented that they were really impressed that he had identified what he needed to improve. And in a number of incidences, he was able to then show how he implemented that. He felt that was a game changer. And that's what he articulated to the rest of the group when we were talking about his experience recently. So please use it. Quickly, is my masterclass a YouTube playlist or is it an external link? Yes, so the masterclasses are part of the, hang on, let me unhide this. There you go. So the Amazon Interview Wiz Academy, bit of an angle there. That is my paid for academy, where I have created a set of masterclasses that pretty much tell you everything the YouTube channel, which is incredibly extensive now, like 50 videos, doesn't tell you about how to absolutely, to the minutiae of detail, land your job in Amazon. It takes you through all of the leadership principles, every single facet of the leadership principles, all sorts of stuff. I will give you a free one at the end of this session, right? El Cangri 17, is that how I would say it? Anyway, I'm going to give you a free one at the end of this session, so you can go claim that for yourself, try it out, see if you like it, and then if you do, you can then go back and head back and purchase the rest of the courses, or choose only to purchase some of them. But it is the best freebie available on Amazon Interviewing, if I don't say so myself. And obviously I did say so myself. Okay, so on that note, we are now at time. Oh, one more, and then there we go. So networking code else. Oh, it's been a long time since you've been back. Yes, of course. And you got the job. Oh, you got an offer at AWS. This is like number 5 of this session. This is amazing. I'm so happy. Congratulations, networking code else. Well done. And do you know what? It's never too late. You are one of quite a number of people who find me at the very last minute and binge my content and pay very close attention to what I say and have landed jobs. I had one Academy member who found me 48 hours before their loop, purchase my full package, which is about 10 hours worth of content, and binged it all in 24 hours. It's a record. Binged it all in 24 hours, then did their interview and got hired. So honestly, it doesn't matter how late you find this content. Once you know this content, you are empowered to land that role. So congratulations. I'm so delighted for you. Okay, so let me now give you the best freebie on, I was going to say on the planet, but clearly that's a slight overstatement, but the best freebie you'll get on Amazon interviewing anyway. So check out the Amazon interviewwizacademy.com. There I give you my customer obsession masterclass completely free. Now, what you'll find in there is the 4 facets of customer obsession. Customer obsession is the most complex leadership principle there is. It has 4 different elements to it. I will break them down for you so you can pick exactly the right examples from your career history to present if someone asks you about customer obsession. I tell you exactly what the interviewer is looking for in your answers. It's like a map. And then I show you a mock interview where I'm interviewing. All right, is anybody still there? Are you still there? I don't know. Oh, it looks like you're all still there. I'm so sorry. My broadband went down. Oh, always. Of course, it's been perfect all day long. Right, go there. Go grab the masterclass. All of you, if you are interviewed at Amazon, will at some point be asked customer obsession. That's why I give that one specifically as the freebie. I was always going to give a freebie. And the reason why I give it to you for free is I want you to love it and then come back and obviously buy some of my other products. But do you know what? If you don't, I'm sad, but I know that you will get value from my customer obsession masterclass. People love it. So please head there, amazoninterviewwiz.com. It's not a way of me getting hold of your email address, by the way. I won't be sending you follow-up emails. So just take it, enjoy it. I hope it helps you. So for now, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. If you haven't yet liked the stream, please do. Genuinely, please like the stream. It makes so much of a difference. So thanks for coming. Come back again on Monday where I will be doing that job description deconstruction. Just need to do the advert for it tomorrow. It's like another 4 hours of my life making mess ups on videos. Ugh. Right. Thank you, everybody. Be safe. For those of you who got your jobs, congratulations. I am so thrilled for you. For anybody who has an interview coming up, I wish you the very best of luck. You can always ask me questions on my YouTube channel. Anyone who has, know I pretty much respond to 100% of them within 24 hours. So go for it. I am here to help. Be safe. Thank you for coming. Take care. Bye-bye.